Hello guys, this is Muhammad and you're watching session number 6 on SAP Academy. This is General Ledger Accounting Part 4. In this session, we will discuss about some important topics under global configuration. In this session, we are going to learn configuring ledgers, accounting principles, fiscal year variant, posting period variant, field status variant, currencies, document types and number ranges, posting keys, and tolerance groups. After each topic, I will be doing a demo for better understanding. I will quickly finish 1 or 2 slides on each topic and jump to the practical demonstrations. So let's move on. Before we move on with this session, let's review what we have learned in session number 5. In session number 5, we have learned about master data, definition of GL accounts, chart of accounts, account groups, and maintaining GL accounts. Let's start the first topic of this session, configuring ledgers. There are different types of ledgers in SAP. For example, leading ledger, non-leading ledger, extension ledger, and so on. SAP has provided one leading ledger in the system, which is 0L. 0L needs to be assigned to an accounting principle. Companies can decide which accounting principle they want to map with the leading ledger. It is utilized for the consolidation of financial statements. All company codes and all postings are assigned to this ledger by default. Documents posted in this ledger are transferred to non-leading ledgers. When we configure a ledger, there are certain steps that we need to perform. Step number 1 is define ledger, define company code settings for the ledger, and assign accounting principles for the combination of ledger and company code. Let's have a demo on this session. Let's review ledger settings, company code settings, and the settings where we assign the accounting principles. For all these settings, we have only one transaction code, which is FINSC_ledger. We can directly go to the transaction code FINSC_ledger, or we can go to SPRO and follow the path under IMG, Financial Accounting, Financial Accounting Global Settings, Ledgers, Ledger, define settings for ledgers and currency types. So you can see the ledger screen. You can see on the right, we are on the ledger screen, and you can see the first ledger is 0L, which is the leading ledger. And on this same screen, you can define new ledgers. Currently I'm on display mode. I'm not getting any option to create. When we are on a change mode, you will get an option called new entries. After you click on new entries, you should be able to create new ledger. So let's see the settings in the leading ledger. In our leading ledger, we have the ledger name, ledger 0L, and then the leading checkbox is checked. When we're starting in a fresh client, we should make sure that for 0L, leading checkbox is checked. And the ledger type for leading ledger is standard ledger. We can also have extension ledger, but we'll discuss about extension ledgers in future sessions. And in the extension ledger type, we have standard journal entries. We also have other options like SPV. We'll see all these topics when we discuss about parallel accounting in our future sessions. After we have made the settings for the ledger we have defined, we'll go to the company code settings for the ledger. Click on position. Our company code is A001. Enter. You can see for our company code we have local currency type and global currency type. This is already there, 10 and 30. So basically this is the company code currency, which is 10, and this is a global currency, and this global currency 30, this is coming from controlling area. Whatever we define in the controlling area will flow to this field, and these two we cannot change. So these two are by default and standard. And we have more currency fields. For example, free currency 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can define up to 8 additional currencies. And apart from this, we have fiscal year variant, and posting period variant. So for our company, we have not yet created a posting period variant, so it is blank. We have assigned the fiscal year variant K4 to the company code, so it's flowing here. So we need to make sure that we define the same fiscal year variant and posting period variant for the ledger, whatever we use for the company code. Let's move on to the accounting principle for ledgers and company code. Here you can see it is blank because we have not created any accounting principle. In the next section, we are going to create an accounting principle, and we'll come here and assign the accounting principle to the ledger and company code 0L and A001. So this was all about configuring ledgers. Let us move on to the next topic, accounting principles. Accounting principles are defined with a 4-character alphanumeric code and a description. There are no rules or customizing definitions for accounting principles. Accounting principles are assigned to a ledger group. Normally, one accounting principle is assigned to one ledger group, but multiple accounting principles can also be assigned to a single ledger group. We'll see this scenario in future sessions. In the diagram, you can see that we have different accounting principles. For example, IFRS, USGA or US GAAP, LOGA or local GAAP, and these are assigned to different ledgers 0L, 2L and XL, for example. Let us go to customizing and define the accounting principle and then assign it to our company code and ledger group combination. Let's go to the IMG path with the T code SPRO, SAP reference IMG, financial accounting global settings, ledgers, parallel accounting, define accounting principles. We are interested in accounting principle IFRS to assign it to our company code and ledger combination. Let us first look at the accounting principle if it is already defined. The accounting principle is already defined, so we can directly go and define it in our customizing. But just for the sake of demo, I'll create a new accounting principle to show you how it is done. We can click on new entries and we can give our ledger name TST1 test ledger group test accounting principles and save the transport request. This is it. Our accounting principle is created. Okay, we'll go back and we'll go to ledger. We'll go to define settings for ledger and currency types. Transaction code FINSC underscore ledger. We select the ledger and then go to company code, and then we select our company code 001, go to accounting principles and add a new entry with the accounting principle IFRS and save. Let's move on to the next topic, fiscal year variants. The start and end dates of a fiscal year and division of the year into periods are specified in a fiscal year variant. In addition to normal periods, SAP provides up to 4 special periods to be used during period end closing. Special periods can be opened or closed independently to normal periods. Once defined, the variant is assigned to relevant company codes and controlling areas. The fiscal year and periods are created according to legal requirements and as per requirements of accounting department of the company. Types of fiscal year variants. There are two types of fiscal year variants in SAP: year independent fiscal year variants and year specific fiscal year variants. Year independent fiscal year variant. The year independent fiscal year variants can be calendar year or non-calendar year. The calendar year fiscal year variant, as the name says, it is from January to December of a normal calendar. And the non-calendar year can be anything other than the normal calendar year. For example, April to March. This type of fiscal year can also have more than 12 periods. For example, each calendar week as a period, or every 2 calendar weeks as a period. Another interesting thing to know here is that the periods don't need to be equal among themselves. Some can be longer than others. Year-specific fiscal year variants. This type of fiscal year variant can be different year on year. For example, in one year, it can be Jan to December, and in another year, it can be something else. The year-specific fiscal year variant can be a shortened year. For example, January to June. This type of fiscal year is normally used in case of liquidation or acquisition of a company. Let's define fiscal year variants in SAP. We will define two different fiscal year variants, one for calendar year, another a non-calendar year fiscal year variant. And we will assign the calendar year fiscal year variant to our company code. The transaction code to create a fiscal year variant is OB29. Instead of using the transaction code, we can use the transaction code SPRO, SAP reference IMG, financial accounting global settings, ledgers, fiscal year and posting periods, maintain fiscal year variant. Execute. Here you can see there are already a lot of fiscal year variants already defined. Some of them are standard provided by SAP. The ones starting with K are SAP standard provided fiscal year variants as a sample. We can use these to copy and create our own fiscal year variants. And the fiscal year variants starting with V are also standard SAP provided sample fiscal year variants. We can use these to copy and create our own variants. In our demo, we will create the fiscal year variants from scratch. Let's click on New Entries to create the first fiscal year variant. Let's give a 0 as a fiscal year variant. Description, calendar year with 4 special periods. And when you create a calendar year as a fiscal year variant, you have to click this check mark, calendar year as a fiscal year. And here you can define the number of periods, 12, number of special periods, 4, hit enter, save. Now select this fiscal year variant and go to periods. Okay, since this is a calendar year fiscal year variant, periods cannot be maintained for calendar dependent fiscal year variants because SAP knows that a calendar year fiscal year variant is always January to December. So we can directly go to period text and define the period text for each period. Let's click on New Entries, Language English, period 1, text I can give Jan, and text is January. English, period 2, February. Period 3, March. Period 4, April. Period 5, May. Period 6, June. Period 7, July. Period 8, August. Period 9, September. Period 10, October. Period 11, November. And the last period 12, December. Save. That's it. We have created our fiscal year variant A0, which is calendar year, with 4 special periods from January to December. Let's now go back and create another fiscal year variant, which is non-calendar year fiscal year. Click on new entries, give fiscal year variant as, for example, P8. Description: I am creating a fiscal year variant from April to March. With 4 special periods. So I'll give number of periods 12, special periods 4, enter and save. I'll select this variant, go to periods, and then we have to define each period for this fiscal year variant. For calendar year, system knows that it is January to December. We need not specify the periods. For non-calendar years, we have to specify each period, which is the first, which is the second, up to which is last. So let's click on new entries. So month number 1. So here in the day, we have to give the last day of the period. For January, the last day is 31. And when I'm creating a fiscal year variant from April to March, then my January is going to be my 10th period. Okay, so I'll give here 10. We'll discuss about year shift later, so I'll just define the periods first. Month 2, which is February, I'll give 29. Some periods can be 28. I'll give 29 to even include the leap year. So I'll give this 11. And March is going to be my last period. So March 31, last day is 31. Period is 12. And April is going to be my first period. May 31 to June 33, July 31, 4, August 31, 5, September 36, October 31, 7, November 38, December 31, 9. Hit enter. So we have defined all the 12 periods starting from 1 to 2, and we have also defined which period is the first period and which is the last period. So now we have defined this. To understand the year shift, let's go back to our presentation. Okay, so we are at this stage now. We have defined the month, day and period. Now we have to define year shift. Now to define year shift, we need to understand which year we want to make it as a fiscal year. Okay, because our period is falling in 2 different years. Like the April to December is in 2020, for example, and the next 3 periods are falling in the next year. That is January, February and March are falling in 2021. So which year system is going to consider when this situation happens? So what is the fiscal year? Is it 2020 or 2021? So in this case, we can tell the system either the period is 2021 or 2020. But normally the fiscal year is treated as 2020. So I'll show you both the examples, how to tell the system to consider year as 2020 or 2021. Let's go to the next slide and see the example when we are telling the system to consider the fiscal year for all the 12 periods, including the 3 periods of 2021 as 2020. Look at this. So for April to December, I have defined the year shift as 0. That means I'm telling the system to consider the fiscal year as 2020. Now, for January, February and March, I have given -1. So I'm telling the system to actually go back 1 year and consider 2020 as the fiscal year for even these 3 periods. So for all these 12 periods, system will treat the fiscal year as 2020. So this is how we define the fiscal year variant using the year shift. Let's go to the next example where I want the system to treat 2021 as the fiscal year instead of 2020. Let's see this now. You can see from April to December, I am telling the system +1. That means treat 2021 as the fiscal year. And for March, January till March, I have given 0, meaning it is the same year. So here it's 2021 and here I am telling +1, that means 2021 also. So in this case, system will treat the fiscal year as 2021. Now let's go back to SAP and let's finish the defining the fiscal year. Okay, now here I have to give -1, -1, -1. So my fiscal year will be 2020 for all the 12 periods. Let's save. Let's go to the period text and let's add the period text. New entries. Language English. Period 1. Our period 1 is April. English. 2. Period 4. July. Period 5. August. Period 6. September. Period 7. October. Period 8. November. Period 9. December. Period 10. January. Period 11. February. Period 12. March. I have shown you from scratch how to create the fiscal year variant, but in the real environment you can actually copy it and create your fiscal year variant. If you do that, you don't need to actually go and define each for period text, type everything manually. So that will make it easy for you. So let's save. Now let's go back and let's go to the next step. The next step is assign company code to the fiscal year variant. We can use T code OB37 or we can go to SPRO and we can assign the fiscal year variant to the company code here. Let's go to our company code. And our company code already had the default fiscal year variant K4. So here we will assign A0 as the calendar year as the fiscal year variant. Save. That's it. We have created a fiscal year variant and assigned it to our company code. Let's move on to the next topic, posting period variants. Posting period variant is used to control accounting periods by allowing certain periods to open and closing certain periods for posting business transactions. By assigning several company codes to the same variant, we can have better control by opening and closing periods at the same time. Let's define posting period variant, and then in the second activity we will assign the posting period variant to the company code. And then in the third activity we'll open posting periods to post business transactions. To open posting periods, we can use transaction code OBBO, or we can use SPRO, financial accounting global settings, ledgers, fiscal year and posting periods, define variants for open posting periods, execute. Click on new entries, give the variant A000, posting period for ABC. Save. Now let's go back and assign the posting period variant to the company code. Instead of using SPRO, we can also directly go to the transaction code OBBP. Let's click execute. Click on position, company code A001, and let's assign the variant A000. Save. Now let's go to the third activity, which is open posting periods. We can use transaction code OB52, or we can use a new transaction code which is there in the user menu, FAGL_EHP4_T001B_COFI, or we can also use another transaction code. You may not find it in SAP menu because this is an old transaction, but if you execute it in the command window or command field, it will take us to the open posting period screen. So let's use transaction code OB52, and we have to give the variant we have just defined, A000, and we are here in the posting period specified time interval screen. We can also use the transaction code I have specified, which is S_ALR_87003642. It's difficult to remember the long transaction codes, so you can add these kind of transaction codes to your favorites, so it is easy for you to execute them. Hit enter the variant, and we are on the same screen. Or can use the new transaction code. You can go to accounting, general ledger accounting, environment, current settings, and here you can use this transaction code, open and close posting periods. It will take us to the same screen. Okay, let's define the open posting periods. Let's go to new entries. If you press F4, you'll get this screen. So we have options like plus, valid for all account types, A for assets, D for customers, K for vendors, M for materials, S for GL accounts, and V for contract accounts. The last one, contract accounts, used for certain industries like automobiles or insurance companies or utility companies, where we have a lot of customer vendor accounts. In our case, we will use these 6 plus A, D, K, M, and S. The first one with plus sign must be assigned, and this is used in conjunction with all other account types. So this is mandatory requirement to define the plus account type. So let's go and do it. Plus, then from period 1 we are in 2020 to period 12 2020. You can see the period 1 here, period 1 intervals, and this is period 2 intervals and period 3 intervals. So you can simultaneously manage 3 different periods in the same screen. So let's define for the second account type A, and in the to account we have to give 10 times Z, means we are allowing all accounts for the account type A. Period 1 2020 to period 12 2020. So normally in the real time the businesses only allow only one period to be open, but since it is a test system, I am giving 12 periods. Customers 1 to 2020, 12 2020, and the fourth one is vendors 1 2020, 12 2020. The next one is materials M 2020, 12 2020. The last one is GL accounts 2020, 12 2020. Press enter and save. So that's it. We have defined posting period variant, assigned it to our company code, and then we have opened periods for our company code using the posting period variant. Let us move on to the next topic, field status variants. Field status variants are used to control field properties when we enter business transactions. Field status variant contains field status groups. Each group can be used for a specific type of GL accounts. Using field status groups, we can set each field status either suppressed, required entry, or optional entry. Field status variant is assigned to one or more company codes. Let's define the field status variant. And in the second activity, we will review some important field status variants. In the third activity, we will assign the field status variant to the company codes. And in the fourth activity, we will check assignment to GL accounts and we'll verify the field status in transaction FB50, and then we will change some field status of certain fields and then again verify the same in the transaction FB50. Now let's go to SAP and let's go to transaction code OBC4. We can use transaction OBC4 to define the field status variant, or we can use transaction code SPRO. Let's go to SPRO. So if you don't remember the transaction code, you can just go to SPRO and use the SPRO to drill down to the specific transaction code, and then from there you can execute. Financial accounting, financial accounting global settings, ledgers, fields, define field status variants, execute. Let's define our field status variant. We can copy any standard field status variant, for example 0001, because each field status variant will contain field status groups. So when we copy, all the standard field status groups will be copied. So let's copy, name it as A000, field status variant, this variant for ABC. Okay, now it will prompt us to copy all the entries within this field status variant. We'll say copy all. So all the 46 field status groups in this field status variant have been copied. Save. Now let's go into the field status variant and drill down to field status groups. All the field status groups in the reference field status variant have been copied. Among these field status variants, there are some important ones which we normally use more often, which is general G001, and we have G004 for cost accounts, and G003 for material consumption accounts, G005 for bank accounts, G006 for material accounts, G007 for asset accounts, for clearing accounts, G011 receivables and payables clearing account, G012, and there are a lot of other field status groups. So now let's go back to our activities. We have done activity 1 and 2. Now let's assign this field status variant to our company code. We can go to transaction code OBC5, or we can go to SPRO, and then we can assign the company code to field status variants here. Execute. Click on position. Company code is A001. We had assigned the standard field status variant. Now we'll replace it with our field status variant A000. Save. Now let's go to the next activity, which is check assignment to GL accounts FS00. Let's go to FS00. Now in FS00 we had created one account 100, and in 100 we had selected field status variant G001. Now let us go to field status G001 and let us make some changes. But before we do that, let's review transaction code FB50. Let us change the company code to our company code A001. Enter the date. Enter a GL account. Now after I hit enter, let us go and check the fields assignment and text. You can see the assignment and text both are grayed out, means these are suppressed. In text also I cannot enter anything. Now let us go to OBC4 and make some changes to these two fields and see the difference. Okay, our field status variant is A000. Field status groups. We are using G001, so I'll go here. General data. We can see the text is suppressed. Assignment number is suppressed. So what I'll do is make the text field required and assignment number as optional. Let's save. Let us go back to the transaction FB50 again. We have to change the company. Our company code is 001. Now let me enter the date and GL account. Okay. Now as soon as I hit enter, required in item text field for account 100. So you can see it's asking me to enter the text field because we made it required. An assignment field, we left it optional, so we can just enter anything or leave it blank. So if I enter something here, test, then it will allow me to proceed. Let's move on to the next topic, currencies. SAP standard system comes with most world currencies. These currencies are defined and assigned to a currency key as per their ISO codes. If a currency code changes, we can enter valid until date in the customizing to make sure that the currency is no longer used when posting transactions. Using exchange rate types, we can enter a different exchange rate ratio as per the business scenario. For example, B, which is bank selling rate, G, which is bank buying rate, M, which is average rate, and so on. The translation ratio determines how many units of one currency is equal to how many units of another currency. The terms direct and indirect quotation define how the currency translation rate is maintained. With direct quotation, 1 unit of foreign currency is translated to the local currency. For example, let's say our local currency is USD and foreign currency is EUR. Then 1 euro buys 1.11 USD. If we use indirect quotation, it will be the opposite. That is, $1 buys 0.9 euros. We maintain entries as direct or indirect per currency pair in the system. We can also enter exchange rate directly during posting a transaction. SAP uses the exchange rate entered during transaction even if the rate is maintained in the system. Let's go to the next slide to look at the rest of the items. We can use base currency referred in SAP as reference currency and use it as a base to translate rates between other currencies. For example, you define USD as the base currency. You maintain that 1 GBP equals 1.24 USD. You maintain that 100 JPY equals to 0.94 USD. The system derives the rate between GBP and JPY, though it is not maintained. We can maintain currency exchange rates using work lists or use services of data providers like Bloomberg to update the rates automatically. We will discuss this and about currency types and currency conversion settings in the future sessions. Let's have a demo on this section. In this demo, we will review currency keys, we will review exchange rate types, and we will create new exchange rate type, and we will assign base currency as USD for the new exchange rate type. We will review translation ratios, and we will maintain translation ratios for the new exchange rate type for every combination. We will maintain exchange rates, and we will check the currency conversions using the currency test converter. So let's go to the first activity, review currency keys using transaction OY03. We can use the transaction OY03 to look at the currencies, or we can use SPRO, SAP Reference IMG, SAP NetWeaver, General Settings, Currencies, check currency codes. You can see the currency keys. We have 3-digit currency keys. SAP provides most of the currency codes, and these are the ISO codes and the description for each currency, short and long text. And if we double click on it, we could also be able to see the valid until date. So if the currency code is no longer valid, we can enter a validity date here. Post the validity date, system will not use this currency code for currency translations for any business transactions. Let's go back. Let's go back to the presentation. Now let's review the exchange rate types. We can use transaction code OB07. We can follow the same tree. Here, check exchange rate types, just below the check currency codes. You can see the exchange rate type, description, and then we have other options. and this is the reference currency which we were talking about to be used for base currency scenario. Let us create a new exchange rate type, name it as A000, change rate type for ABC, and I'll give base currency as USD. Save, go back. So we have reviewed the exchange rate types and we have created the exchange rate type. Now let us go back to the presentation. And the third activity is review currency ratios and then maintain currency ratios for our new exchange rate type. We can go to transaction OBBS, or we can select define translation ratios for currency translation. Say yes. You can see the exchange rate type, from to currency, valid from, and the ratios maintained. So most of them are 1:1. So in our case, we are using JPY, Japanese yen. It will be 100:1. So let's go ahead and let's click on new entries. Our exchange rate type is A000 from USD to GBP, valid from today's date, ratio 1:1. Second one, A000 USD to JPY, today's date, and 1:100. 000 GBP to USD 19.6:1. A000 GBP to JPY 19.6 1:100. Now the last pair, JPY to USD 1:100:1. A000 JPY to GGP 1:6 100:1. So we have to maintain all the typical combinations for each of the currency codes. Hit enter, hit enter, enter, save. So we are done with this activity as well. Let's go back to our presentation. Now the fourth activity, maintain exchange rates. The transaction code is OB08. Let's go there. We can use transaction OB08, or we can enter it here, enter exchange rate. Use the same tree and then click on exchange rates. Now let's maintain the exchange rates. Click on new entries. Exchange rate type is A000, valid from today's date, from GBP to USD. Now what is the rate? The rate is 1.23536. 0.23536. Second one is A000 1:6 JPY, and the exchange rate is 0.93567. 0.93567. Okay, let's save. We have maintained the exchange rates. Let's go to the next activity. Okay, now let's go to the currency test converter. Transaction code is /N EWCT. Okay, the first one I'm going to test is GBP to USD, and then I'll change the exchange rate type which we have created. Okay, now the currency rate it's showing is 1.23536, the one which we have maintained, 1.23536. Now I convert 1 GBP to USD, it's 1.24. Okay, and then similarly I can use another currency pair. Click on other currency pair, use USD to GBP, same thing, enter, it's 0.81. and then we go for JPY to USD, the second translation rate that we have entered. 100 JPY is equal to 0.94 USD. Now we'll check the GBP to JPY. This exchange rate we have not maintained in the system. Now see how the system calculates. Let's hit enter. You can see it's calculating as 132 JPY. 1 GBP is 132 JPY. If we look at our presentation, it will be converted as GBP to JPY is 132. We can also convert JPY to GBP. It will be 0.76. Let's check that as well. JPY to GBP, enter, and once I hit enter, it will calculate 100 JPY equals to 0.76 GBP. This is exactly what we want. So this is how the base currency works in SAP. So this was all about currencies. We have more to cover in currencies that I'll cover in the next session. Let's move on to the next topic, document types and number ranges. The document type is a key that is used to group accounting documents and categorize business transactions. The document type is entered in the document header and applies to the whole document. The document type also assigns a document number to a business transaction. SAP provides standard document types for most common business scenarios. We can also create our own document types according to our needs. Document types are defined on the client level, which means they can be used with all company codes when posting. We just need to define the number range for the company code. Document types has a lot of controls and settings. Some of the important settings are number ranges, reverse document type, account types allowed, exchange rate type for foreign currency documents, reference number, net document type, and negative postings permitted. Let us switch to SAP and review the various standard document types and the important settings. We can use transaction BA7, or we can use SPRO. SAP reference IMG, financial accounting global settings, document types, define document types. You can see that there are a lot of standard document types provided by SAP. Some of them are AA for asset document, AB for journal entry, DG for customer credit memo, DR for customer invoice. This is for the FI customer invoice. DZ is for customer payment, KG for vendor credit memo, KR for vendor invoice, KZ for vendor payment, and so on. Let us select one document type. Let's say KR. You can see the document type KR. In properties, you have number range 19, and you have a reversal document type. When we reverse a document posted with the document type KR, it will use KA as a document type. If we don't define anything here, if we leave it blank, it will use the original document type KR to reverse the document. Account types allowed are assets, vendor, material, and GL accounts for this document type. We cannot use this document type to post customer documents. Exchange rate type for FC documents. Under default values, exchange rate type for FC documents can give a exchange rate type here. When we post transactions, it will propose a default exchange rate type, and we can actually override it during posting the transaction. And we have net document type. Net document type is actually used to separate discount amount from the vendor invoice amount and post it to a different GL account. And we have negative postings permitted. Let me go back to a slide. The negative posting is actually used in case of reversals. So we can have normal reversals or negative reversal. So when we don't select this negative postings permitted checkbox, we are doing a normal reversal. What happens in this case is we have an incorrect entry of 1000 in debit. So when we do a normal reversal, it will post another line with equal amount on a credit side. So both debit and credit will nullify this transaction. In case of negative reversals, when there is a wrong entry on the debit side, system will post another debit with a negative sign on the same side. This will also have the same impact. So the result is same in normal reversal and negative reversal. But the only difference is in normal reversal, it is updating the transaction figures in both sides. But here in the negative reversal, it is actually reducing the transaction figure from the same side. Then we also have a reference number in the document type. So the reference number is under the required during document entry head. So basically, if we want to make this field required, we can actually select it. So whenever we post a transaction, system will prompt us to enter a reference number. This is useful when we post a customer or vendor invoice. And we can also make document header text as required as well. So this was all about vendor document types. Let me go back the presentation. So now let's have a demo on this section. We'll have 4 activities. In the first activity, we actually have reviewed the document types using the OBS 7 transaction. Now in the second activity, we will define a new document type, ZE, for intercompany invoice, and then we'll define a number range for some important document types, including the new document type we are creating using OBS 7 or FBN 1, and then we'll assign the number ranges to all the document types. Let's go to SAP. Okay, now I am creating a new document type. So let me copy it from an existing one. This is a vendor invoice. So I'll copy this and I'll name it as ZE. I'll keep the same number range. I'll change the reversal document type as well. And I'll keep all the settings same. Okay, let's save it. Document type is saved. Now let's go and maintain number range for this document. Company code A001. Change interval. So our number is 51. Okay, for 51 2020 we already have a document number range maintained, so we can just leave it as it is. Let's go and do it for the other document type, which is SA 01 A001. Change 01 2020 we also have maintained it already. So let's go back and check it for the other document type, which is AB. For 2, change. For 2 also you already have maintained it, so let's go back and check it for KR 19. Also we have maintained it already, so let's go back and check for the next one. KZ 15. So 15 also we have maintained it already. Let's go back for the next one. ZP 20. So for 20 also we have maintained it, so no need to maintain for any of the document types. Let's go back to our presentation. So we have checked for SA, AB, KR, RE, ZE, KZ and ZP. So all are maintained already. So one more thing I want to show you here is when we go to the maintenance transaction, when we actually click on the number range, currently you can see we are in transaction OBS 7. So we can actually use number range information within OBS 7 to maintain the number range. When we click on it, it will take us to the transaction code FBN1. Instead of using OBS 7 and moving to FBN1, we can also directly use transaction code FBN1. It will take us to the same transaction. So assignment of number range is already done in OBS 7. The number ranges, we are using the default number ranges which are already assigned to the document type. So we are done with this session of document types and number ranges. Let's move on to the next topic, posting keys. Posting keys are 2-digit numeric keys. The posting key specifies the account type of a line item and whether the line is a debit or a credit entry. For example, the posting keys for GL accounting are 40 for debit and 50 for credit. Posting keys are defined on the client level. Additionally, posting keys define whether the item is relevant for sales, whether the item is a special GL transaction for customers or vendors, whether the item is a payment transaction, whether the item is reversed, and so on. For each posting key, we can also define the field status. But the field status is normally controlled by the GL account field status groups. As mentioned earlier, if there is a conflicting field status for a field, system follows the priority. First suppressed, then required entry, and finally optional entry. We cannot combine the field statuses suppress and required entry. This will result in an error. Since the posting key level field status is not used, all the field statuses are marked as optional entry, which has the least priority. You can have a look at the posting keys for debit and credit for each of the account types. For example, debit posting keys for customer are 01 until 09 and credit posting keys are 11 till 19. For vendor, the debit posting keys are from 21 to 29 and credit posting keys are from 31 to 39. For general ledger, the debit posting key is 40 and the credit posting key is 50. For general ledger MM integration with GL, the posting keys for debit are from 80 to 86, and the credit posting keys are from 90 to 96. For asset transactions, the debit posting key is 70 and the credit posting key is 75. And for material transactions, debit posting key is 89 and credit posting key is 99. Let's have a demo on this section. Let us check the posting keys in transaction OB41, and then we will see few transactions like AB60 and F-43, how the posting keys are used. Let's go to SAP. The transaction code for posting keys is OB41. Instead of using the transaction code, we can also use SPRO, SAP reference IMG, financial accounting global settings, document, define posting keys, execute. So these are the posting keys from 1 until 99. Set 2-digit posting key. Let us go to have a look at posting key 01. This is for invoice. This is customer invoice. So this posting key is used for debit, and it's for customer, debit customer, and then this is sales related, means this is related to posting a customer invoice. And then the reversal posting key for this is 12. When we have a transaction with posting key 01 and we want to reverse the transaction, then the system uses 12 as the reversal posting key for 01. And we can also go to field status for this posting key, similar to the field status group under GL accounts. We have the same thing here, and most of the fields in posting keys are marked as optional entries. Normally this is not used. Next activity, just go to transaction FP50, enter GL account document. You can see here there is no posting key field. What you can see here is a debit credit indicator. So here when we enter the GL account and then the other fields, we also select whether this is a debit line or a credit line. Instead of using 40 and 50, the system is defaulting credit or a debit. So this is the difference in this transaction. And if I go to some classic transactions, for example F-02, so here you can see we have a posting key field. It is defaulting 40 because I'm entering a GL account document. I can use the corresponding posting key and proceed with the transaction. So this was all about posting keys. Let us move on to the next topic, tolerance groups. Tolerance group specifies amount related posting limits for users or employees. Tolerance group determines the maximum amount a user is authorized to post per document and the difference a user is allowed to clear in case of over or underpayments. When we define a company code, by default a blank tolerance group is assigned to the company code. We can create additional tolerance group if we need and assign the same to the users or employees. Tolerance group for users controls two areas. One is upper limits for transactions and permitted payment differences when we clear open items. In this section, we will learn about upper limits for posting transactions, and the permitted payment differences we will learn in the future sessions because this requires more additional configurations. Let's review the tolerance group our company is assigned to and then create a new tolerance group and assign it to the user. And then in the third activity, let's validate the configuration. Let's move on to SAP. Transaction code to define a tolerance group for users is OBA4. BA4. Instead of using OBA4, we can also use SPRO, SAP reference IMG, financial accounting global settings, document, tolerance groups, define tolerance groups for employees. Execute. Our company is A001. You can see our company code is already assigned a blank tolerance group. So if we double click on it, we can check the details of the settings under this tolerance group. Amount per document is given maximum. Let's create our own tolerance group. Let's copy this and create a new one. Let's name it as A000. And then I'll give 10,000 as a maximum limit and 1,000 for open item clearing. Let's save. And now let's go to the next step to assign the tolerance group to the users in transaction OB57. If we go back, we can use the same tree in SPRO to assign users to tolerance groups. Let's go there. You can see our user is best, and it's currently assigned the blank tolerance group. So let us assign the tolerance group we have created. 8000, save. Now, before we do the testing, let's create a GL account. Let's create a proper GL account to do this test. So my company code is A001. I have one GL account. Copy this and I'll create a GL account for 100, 300. This will be a primary cost and it is under admin cost account group. This is miscellaneous expenses, and under control data, since this is a cost element, we need to define a cost element category. So in here, in control tab, I have defined it as primary cost. We'll learn more about this when we start controlling module, so don't worry about it now. That's it. We can save. Our GL account is created. Now let's go to FB50. Select our company code A001 and give a date. Give our GL account 400, 300. Give an amount. Let's say 25,000. Let's say 25,000. Hit enter, and then you see you may only post documents up to USD 10,000. Because the tolerance group for this user is 10,000, system will not allow me to post any amount above 10,000. So if I change the amount, 5,000, then system is asking for a cost object. That means system has passed the error which it was showing before. Please help us help you and others by subscribing and sharing our channel. Please watch the complete general ledger accounting videos by clicking on the playlist displayed on the screen. And if you have missed the last session, I have provided the link on the screen as well. So stay safe and see you in the next video on posting different business transactions in SAP FI. Thank you and goodbye.